Hi, Genevieve Jacobs from Region Media, and this week's news wrap comes from the National Museum of Australia, which is hosting Grand Experience's spectacular Connections immersive art experience. Matt Trinca is the director of the National Museum. Matt, I've just had a wander through. This is mind-blowing stuff. I know it's all over everyone's Instagram screens, but it is much more than that. What's going on here?
Oh, it's spectacular, isn't it? I think it really takes you inside the world of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art, and in a way that you haven't really expected might be possible. That is, to be literally immersed in it, to have it surround you, to feel a part of it. And of course, part of the way that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people see this art, they make this art, is because of their connection to country. Connection, there it is in the title of this experience, this exhibition. And that's, I think, a sign of what also happens for people. They feel connected to these works of art, but they feel connected also to the country that's depicted in the show.
Now, much of that country is remote. We've got an extraordinary range of artists. 500 images form this beautiful exhibition, the likes of Emily Kamei-Ngwari, Tommy Watson, whose work is just behind us. Although it's not only remote, people like Lynn Onus, who is a marvellous Yorta artist, are part of this as well. For the museum, what's the impetus for you? What's the value for you in this spectacular experience playing out here in this space?
I think really the opportunity to introduce people who might not have seen or known much about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art to these great works. You know, this is the kind of experience that really has something for everyone. People who may have only had a passing regard for this great art of the continent before, and gives them a point of entry, really, a point of entering into an appreciation of these works in a way that might not be possible for them if they just go to a gallery and see the works, you know, hanging on the wall. So we hope that what we're doing is really creating a whole new audience for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art.
And look, to go through this show is to walk through it. I mean, the projections are on the walls, on the ceiling. You walk through them on the floor. There's also a spectacular soundtrack, and I can hear that echoing through as we're standing here. The likes of didgeridoo artist William Barton, who's an absolute maestro, Gurrumul Yothu Yindi. There's a very strong sense in this that you are immersed in the whole richness of First Nations culture, isn't there?
I think so. I mean, one of the great experiences that you have in there is actually the oral experience, you know, hearing this great music of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists. I mean, in that sense, there's this wonderful conjunction between the music of Aboriginal Australia and the art of Aboriginal Australia. And those two things coming together like this are particularly affecting for me when I'm in the gallery space.
Yeah. And look, I know you have on board Margot Neal, who's one of this country's great First Nations curators. So there's a real sense of purpose that for the museum, this is actually doing something that builds towards your deep engagement with First Nations culture. Yeah,
there's no doubt that Margot's facility with these works of art, her sense of their importance in the national culture, all those things have been brought to bear in this work. We're really delighted she was able to contribute some ideas to what was effectively a curatorium, a group of curators that were brought together by the producers of the show. You know, Margot's that rare thing in museums, a rare person. She's someone who can both look across this great oeuvre of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art, but also knows how to bring it to public notice, how to communicate it. And that's a very, very important skill, I think, one we all need to heed.
Look, come for the Instagram images, but stay to learn, and to learn quite deeply. It is a spectacular and very, very beautiful experience here at the National Museum. Also making news on the site this week, the CIT saga continues to unfurl, and the latest iteration of that is that CIT CEO Leanne Cover has been asked to stand aside while there's an investigation, an Integrity Commission investigation into the awarding of those $8.5 million worth of contracts. We've also got the latest on the new department heads. There's some interesting people who've kept their jobs, some others who have lost theirs, and new faces at the top of federal departments. We've got all the news for you about that. If you were passing by Lake Burley Griffin fairly early in the morning for the solstice, you would have seen, well, look, let me be frank, a whole lot of naked people. It was a startling sight as the annual nude solstice swim for charity took place, but a lot of people braved it, and good on them. They've raised both funds and awareness. We've got the story about that. And if a little earlier this week you saw the skywriting that said, "Marry me, Scott," the news is Scott said yes. We've got the details. Thank goodness. You wouldn't have wanted to invest in the skywriting because Scott said no, but he didn't. Scott is up for it. So we've got the details behind that heartfelt proposal. All that and more on the Ride Act. We were all about the local conversation. So sign up for our weekly newsletter, sign up for our daily digest, and join with us in telling Canberra's stories. I'm Genevieve Jacobs. This is Region Media.